This mobility series, you need a ball. If you don't have a medicine ball, I do like a medicine ball. It's a little bit more firm. If you don't have a medicine ball, you can certainly start with a basketball until you acquire one. We'll start out face down. Gonna go on the quad. What you're doing as you're rolling up and down the front of this thigh, you can roll all the way up to the hip and down towards the knee. You're shopping around for the spot that is the most tender. Once you have that spot that's most tender, you can pretty much hold position there. If you have multiple spots, you can divide your time between the spots. I always like to pick one spot that hurts the most and just spend time there. The reason I like the ball versus a foam roller is I can go in multiple directions trying to target that area that I am trying to get released. You're going to hold on to each of these positions for a minimum of 2 minutes. If something is really tender, you have a body part that's really bothering you, I would go up to 5 minutes on these. So you'll do the quad, top of the quad on both sides before moving on. The next one you'll get to is going to be this lateral aspect of your quad. So you're going to be directly on the side of it. You can have this foot crossed over if it's really tender, or you can put, if you find that spot, you can put both feet up into the air. Either is fine. Again, you're going to kind of go up and down the length of this outer quad from just below the hip to just above the knee, and you're shopping around for those tender spots. Once you find one, just spend your time right there. So you'll do this lateral quad for 2 minutes each side, and then we're moving on to your glute. So for your glute, you're going to be sitting down on the ball. You'll have this leg crossed, and then you're going to be, again, shopping around all throughout that hip, trying to find the spot that's the most tender. And then once you have it, again, holding position, or you can do some slight movements in that area in order to try to address the tightness that's going on there. So from the glute on, after you do both sides, then we'll go to the hamstring. So when we get into this hamstring, what the area that we're more specifically going to focus on is right where your hip and your leg connect. So that line that makes the crease between your rear end and your leg is what we're going for. Try to get your spine tall. So don't slouch back, because if you slouch back, you really don't get as much of stretch on the hamstring. You can't get into this as much. And then once you have that spot, stay as tall as you can. You can have this foot up. I actually like to have this knee down. So from this side, it would look more like this. So that way I can get a little bit taller into this. And then from here, again, slow motion while you hold this for 2 minutes. From there, we're going to get your quadratus lumborum. It's a muscle that runs on the side of your spine, right up between the hip and the rib cage. So I'm going to lie back on the ball on one side, and I'm going to try to tuck my tailbone under so that muscle stays long. If I let it drop, I kind of relax that muscle and I can't get as deep into it. So I keep my tailbone tucked under here, and then I'm going to roll here. So you're going to stay off your ribs and off your hip, and you're going to find that soft spot right in between your ribs and your hips. That's what we're shopping around for there. So again, you'll get this spot for 2 minutes per side. Then we're going to move to the adductor. Here with the adductor, we're going to have the back leg extended, this knee out to the side. We're going to put the inside of our thigh right on top of the ball. And then again, you're going to move from just above the knee to just where the hip starts. You're finding the most tender spot. Once you have that spot, we're going to hang out there and spend our time in that position. After we do both adductors, we're going to move on to our calf. So if you just have the weight of one leg on the ball, it's usually not enough to create enough pressure. So we're just going to take the other foot and we're going to place it on top of that calf muscle. So when you're working through mobilization of the calf, I'll start out down low near my ankle and do a slight rotation to the outside and a slight rotation to the inside, see what's tender in there. And then I'll move up to this bigger part of my calf muscle and I'll do the same thing just to decide where I find the most tender spots. And then I'll spend my time there. And then once I have it, I'm just going to kind of apply pressure, make sure this foot stays relaxed. And then I might do some very slow ankle movements just to see if I can get that spot to relax and release. So from the calf, we're going to do some work in the abdomen. So the biggest thing to remember when we're working in the abdomen, you don't want to go straight in the middle of your rib cage. And so right here, you have a bone that comes down. It's called your xiphoid process. It's pretty fragile, tiny little bone that sits down. So when we work the abdomen, we're going to work this range here, so on either side. So you're just going to take the ball, you're going to lie down on it, and then we're going to work into that side, right side, and then the left side here. So you like to work right around the rim of the rib cage, right in this area. So I'm staying off that middle line. I'm going to go off to the right, and then when I want to switch, I'll just switch over to the left side. Once you're done there, we're going to come around and we're going to get this ball right into the area around our armpit. So we're just going to hang out here. You want the armpit around the ball, and then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of roll side to side here, and you can roll up and down a little bit just to get into there's a bunch of different muscles that come underneath the armpit that we're going to try to address here. And again, you're just moving around, move your chest forward, back, up and down, trying to find the most tender spots that we need to address. Here, and then the last one we'll finish with will be the pec. So you're getting the ball right underneath the collarbone, right inside the shoulder, and we're going to roll around here. And what I like to do is put my arm out to the side and then turn my body away, and then I can roll around and get into that pec the best. So don't be surprised if there's a lot of areas that are tender here. The whole point of doing this is to get rid of the tenderness and allow our body and our muscles to work in an optimal way.